Hey guys, welcome to the channel. We've got an interesting video for you today, something a little bit different than normal, but hang in there, I think you're going to like this video. What we've got today is a microscope, a digital microscope that comes from Joyalens, and it is part number JL246MS. And this microscope comes with three lenses, those three lenses being what is currently on it, the 60 to 240, and you also have your 18 to 720, as well as your 1800 to 240. And those are going to be, in the case of this first one, mostly for electronics. As you have the next lens, it's going to be more so for maybe looking at coins, or if you're looking at rocks, as you see here, although this lens also works quite well for rocks. And then as you get into the 1800 to 2040, that's going to be really finite, and that's going to be more so if you're looking at really small scale, getting closer to that cellular size. So very, very small, very fine. So you get a pretty good broad spectrum. Now this monitor that's on here is a 7-inch, and it also has hookups on it, and I'll show you guys here on the back if we can. You also have hookups here for plugging into an HDMI. This one currently is plugged into power via this USB-C. But you can also use it to plug directly into your computer and either project or download videos. And that also has a capacity here for a card, and they actually give you a 32 gigabyte card that you can clip inside there, so a micro SD to put inside there. Now you can see here also the construction. This is completely removable. These pins, you can separate it all out piece by piece and store it in quite a small package. So this is your finite focusing, although you also have focusing down here on the actual lens itself. And then you could slide in and out, depending on the material you're looking at, via these arms. And then you tighten them back down. Let's zoom that back in, tighten it down. And you can also raise and lower with this. And it has a stop that's on it as well that allows you to pick the lowest stop position if needed. Now, some other neat features. This also tilts. You have the ability, if you have something that's on an uneven surface or an even angle, you could tilt this to whatever angle is needed to look at that object. And then you have your little placeholders down here if you have, say, those little petri dish kind of slides, your ability to put them in there and look at them if you need to. But for most of us, what we're going to need it for is, well, these LED lights are a super nice feature. There's two of them, one on each side, and they are fully adjustable to point at whatever item it is that you're looking at. So nice feature. It also comes with this power hookup. You have the ability to turn off, turn on, and then you can also adjust the brightness of the light via these two buttons. Not to forget to mention, you have a remote here that gives you the ability to do a lot of these functions via push button. Now, I mean, unless you're really worried about wiggling what you're working with, I don't know that I would see a super big use for this, but you do have some functions on the screen here as well. And some of those are obviously power. You have the ability to record. You have the ability to digitally zoom all the way up to 3 times, I believe, on this. It is a cool feature too that you could take those videos or take photos. So you press this, it's going to start recording in the top corner of what you're looking at on the screen. And then to stop it, press it again. You can go back inside there and change it out to take photos instead. But I mean, with that SD card, you got 5 hours of videos. So that's going to be more than any of us are going to need. But to focus on what I think is great about this is, you know, you might be asking yourself, well, what do I need this for? Automotive-wise, I don't know how many of you guys have actually worked on electronics board, and for whatever reason, you're having issues with it, or maybe you need to inspect something. And I've had plenty of these boards where I need to get in there, I need to check out these capacitors to see if they're leaking and if they've done any damage to the board itself. Right? Normally you'll see via the conformal coating peeling back or deteriorating, but this allows you to get in there and get a really nice inspection. And remember, you have 3 lenses, and you also have the focusing ability to change how close or far they are, and you'd have to just adjust the neck here. So you have a lot of different focusing ranges with these to get as close or as far away. Then, you know, this may be too close, may not. But then maybe you also need to make repairs. So if you're in here, you're looking at one of these. Let's see if we got a resistor or a diode. All right, let's say you're right there. And you need to go in and solder that joint. So now you have the ability to access it and see it on a much bigger screen and make those adjustments or those changes. So I think it's a really nice thing in that case for you guys that do need to get it close on your workplace and see very finite what those items are. Now, you don't have to be limited to that. You already saw the rock. If you need to zoom in on a rock, maybe that's some metallurgy, right? Maybe you need to look and see if something that you're working on metal, right? Maybe you need to see if there's some cracks. You need to identify if there's a crack, or maybe you just want to see what that metallurgy looks like right here with the titanium. The ability to go in there and see that machine work and see what that metallurgy looks like. Or maybe you have a weld, right? You're working on a weld. You want to see what that looks like. Again, this might be a little challenging because it's a little bit taller, but hey, you want to look down that weld. You want to look for a fracture. You want to see if there's any, if it's too porous, if there's a hole in it. You could use that as well to take a look at what's underneath there. Or maybe you guys are into watches and you want to be able to look at your watch. Here's an example of a watch that I had a leak on me in Cancun. And maybe you want to see what that looks like under the microscope. I mean, on your wrist it looks fine, but here you see where that water damage got inside there. And after the fact, I replaced it, but hey, I could see that damage. You can inspect, maybe see if it's getting worse. You know, these are just a couple examples. Or maybe you're going back to automotive, and maybe you have a spark plug. Granted, this is a newer one, but maybe you want to get in there to that spark plug, and you want to see exactly how good or bad that looks, right? Is it arcing? Is it fouling out? Or does it look good? You're able to get right inside there and see really, really clearly. They also give you a couple slides here. I'm not going to ruin them for you, but you get to see if you have kids, or maybe it's just your general interest, if you want to see some up close images of, say, some wings or fly eyeballs. There's a bunch of slides inside here. Now this setup is made in China, and Joyalens, I think they're a distributor. I think there's other manufacturers out there or distributors that use or have similar units to this, but Joyalens has several underneath their name, and they sell them all on Amazon. And a unit like this, currently it's about $140, but with a $10 coupon, obviously that knocks it down to $130. As far as warranty, Joyalens isn't really clear on what that warranty is going to be. So obviously you can always return your items on Amazon, get your money back. That's always great within 30 days. But extended warranties, there's not much information from Joyalens on that. Now, I'd say all in all, it's a solid unit. It's got a nice heavy base plate on it here, and it does a good job. I mean, as far as a microscope is concerned, I mean, this is a lot nicer than I'd probably normally be looking at, and that screen makes it just super easy on your eyes to be able to see what's underneath there and get a better look. And if you got kids, I mean, this would be a great item for them too. Joyalens sent this to us in exchange for our honest opinion, and I think for the most part this is actually a pretty good microscope set. There are some finite little things that could be improved upon. Some of this holder stuff, it could be just a little bit tighter clearances. I think they could do a little bit of job wrapping this power line through the backside of it as well. It still feels quite firm. It's pretty decent. I'll give it that. It's a pretty decent setup. And if you're in the ballpark for picking one of these up, this would be a good unit. So I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts. Have you guys used a microscope like this before? Would you guys be interested in something like this? So the next microscope we're going to look at here is going to be also a Joyalens. And this one's going to be a little bit different than the one we just viewed. This one's obviously plugs into the wall. It has its own stand. It's a very much mount it, keep it into place, and use it for obviously seeing very large on-screen items. But it's also nice to have something like this. And this, what makes this one unique is this is a portable unit. Now, it shares much of the same. It does not have an HDMI, but it does have a USB charge, but also USB to your computer. So if you want to see on your computer what you see on the screen here in a much bigger detail, that's how you do it. It also has an SD card. It has the same 32 gig SD card, so you can store both video and photos of whatever items you're looking at. And it says the camera on here is going to be a 1080p. It may or may not. It does have 8 LEDs on the bottom, and obviously the camera is in the middle there. But it does give you the ability to get in there at a microscopic level and see what you're looking at. Here's a perfect example of trying to look at your board. So if you're looking at doing some inspection work and you want to see how good or how bad, say, these resistors are, if there's any leaking, then you could take this with you. And say you're in the engine bay, or maybe looking at a fuse and you can't tell if the fuse is blown out or not, then this is going to give you the ability to go in there and take a look and feel confident about what you're finding as you're working on it. So it does have some adjustment to the screen as well, depending on what you need to look at. It does allow you to zoom in and zoom out on the screen. So digitally, you could really get in there tight. There you go. So a lot of the same features of the large unit, but obviously on a smaller scale. I mean, you're looking at a 2-inch LCD screen. It's probably about a inch and a half this direction by 2 inches wide. And then as far as battery runtime, it's going to be a 900 milliamp battery, and it says it gets about 2 hours of runtime. So pretty neat. I mean, it's the ability also here to adjust the brightness of what you're working on. And then this is your focusing ring here. And this also appears to be, it feels like aluminum. So it does feel somewhat nice. The rest of the body is plastic. And much of this screen, like this one here, is plastic, but they both share some aluminum parts. And then you also have a screw here too, so if you want to use it on a tripod, right, and mount it and use your material underneath there, you can actually do a permanent mount like so and use the tripod to hold it in place as you slide underneath screens. And it does have those same screens, slides that are in there, so you can look at these as well. This is actually a pine stem. Actually pretty neat. Get inside there. Sorry, it does not translate very well to the screen, but it does get in there nice and close and allow you to see. Joyalens, this is the JL112 handheld digital microscope, and it is also found on Amazon. Pricing for this is quite a bit less than that. It's 30 bucks, but they also offer a $5 coupon currently. So if you're in the need for one of these, or even considering it, the pricing is actually really nice, really competitive. And it comes with a carrying case. It opens up. There's all those little samples that you have there, and it holds it in here. It's a nice foam kind of molded case. And then this flap, it also has the ability to do basically a backlight ability, so you can actually light from behind with this stand that's in here. And then you have these other dishes and tweezers, so if you need to put something inside there. I imagine this is more so for maybe bugs or insects. If your kids are into that and you want to let them use it, they can. And then your USB cord for charging and for data transfer to your computer. This would probably be the easiest one to run around with and use. I mean, 25 bucks, not a bad deal. So I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts. Do you guys run a microscope on any of your projects? Let me know. And then here, once again, here's if you're looking at a weld. Of course, I may or may not have this focused in right now. There you go. If you want to get right in the nitty-gritty of your weld and see what it looks like, you definitely can with this. There you go. There's a nice porous hole right there, and you can see how bad I missed it. So I'm actually glad I have one. I think there's some occasions where I'll definitely use it, and for 25 bucks, not a bad deal. I think they're good units. They are, again, a little plasticky. Please please subscribe if you like these videos. I'd love to get your comments and feedback on these items. Is this something you guys are interested in or not? Or should I be focusing on other materials instead? All right, guys. Thanks again. We'll talk to you soon.